Good evening. So, this recording is going to be the story of Joseph. Now, for those of you who may be new to this channel, new to me, hi, I am Beanie's mom. I'm a vessel being used by the Holy Spirit. Let's be clear on that. And wisdom. With the story of Joseph, this will not be the regular 1, 2, 3 ABC. No, we're going to do a little bit of backstory. Wisdom and gems will be dropped in this in addition to actual scripture. It's going to be reading from the actual Bible. That's where his story is from. It starts in the book of Genesis. Now, fun fact, Joseph's dad was Jacob. But Jacob, he had a brother named Esau, right? And, shaboing boing. Because I've been doing a few series in relations to parents, parenting, just stuff like that. And this is perfectly in line with that. So boom, right? The importance of history and why we should know it, etc. Right? Okay, so Jacob and his brother Esau were the only two boys their mom had. Yes. So Jacob's dad was Isaac. Mom was Rebecca. Okay, and then they had their two boys. But Rebecca, she actually loved Jacob more than Esau. So she pumped him up with the spirit, that was driving her. She pumped him up to steal his brother's blessing from their dad, right? Now, because he stole his blessing from his brother, Esau was hot, wanted to kill him. The mom heard this. So because she loved Jacob, she's like, yo, I need you to kind of dip, until your brother cools down and he's over it. So he leaves and whatnot. And in the process of him leaving, we're in the book of Genesis still, mind you. This all takes place in the book of Genesis. Yes. So, Jacob was a dreamer, which was very interesting. But Jacob was a dreamer. And while he's on the run, he meets this guy. Okay, so Genesis 29, right, is when Jacob meets Joseph's mom. Kinda, sorta. Just listen. Then Jacob continued on his journey and came to the land of the eastern peoples. There he saw a well in the open country with 3 flocks of sheep lying near it because the flocks were were watered from that well. The stone over the mouth of the well was large. When all the flocks were gathered there, the shepherds would roll the stone away from the wall's mouth and water the sheep. Then they would return the stone to its place over the mouth of the well. But Jacob asked the shepherds, my brothers, where are you from? We're from Haran, they replied. He said to them, do you know Laban, Nahor's grandson? These are actually his relatives, because his mother, when she told him to dip, she told him kind of like, where to go. So, they're like, yes, we are. And that's when he saw Rachel. So when he seen her, he was strong because she was beautiful. And he saw when Jacob saw Rachel's daughter of his uncle. Okay, yeah, that. Mm, mm. Okay, so Rachel was the daughter of his uncle. I don't know how that part flew over me the first time. Mm, Let me highlight that. Oh, wow. I don't know if I wanted to use my Karomi highlight on my glitter. Well, that's deep. That's deep. That's deep. Ooh, I ain't know that, but yeah. But look, right? So he speaks to Rachel, whatnot, let her know they related. So she goes and tell her dad, and the dad is like, "Oh, come in." So from Jacob staying with them a month, the guy says to him, because you're a relative of mine, I don't want you working for free, so tell me what I should pay you. This is when Jacob requests to be married to Rachel. So it was agreed upon between the two that he would work for the guy for 7 years for Rachel. But, you know, karma still has a way of doing a thing. Because remember, guys, his mom pumped him up to steal his brother's blessing. Remember? All right, now keep up. So after the 7 years is up, he's expecting Rachel, but he gets bucked out of Rachel for her cross-eyed sister Leah. And he's like, "Yo, you deceived me." And then the guy says, "Oh, it's not our custom to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one, because Leah was older than Rachel." So then he worked another 7 years to get Rachel. And you know, he finally got her. But let's backtrack because, right? Remember I told y'all that he was giving Leah her cross-eyed sister. Okay, now follow me. This is Jacob we're talking about, who is Joseph's dad. So this is a part of Joseph's family tree, lineage, history stuff. Okay. So the fact that Leah was cross-eyed and that's not even the one he wanted, Jacob was kind of like dubbing her. So watch this, right? We're in chapter 29 of Genesis. When the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, he enabled her to conceive, but Rachel remained childless. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben, right? There she conceived, well, okay, because this is an extremely important part. She named him Reuben, for she said, "It is because the Lord has seen my misery. Surely my husband will love me now." Yesterday, I did a recording and I made mention about how it's actually called how are children made, or look, it's on here, right? So when you get the chance after you check this out, please check that out because they coincide with each other. They go together so perfectly. But I wish I would have pulled this up yesterday to drive my point further of what I was saying. I wish I would have pulled this up. But yes, she clearly said that she named him Reuben because the Lord has seen her misery. So she's miserable and her husband doesn't love her, right? Now, this made the child be conceived outside of love, which was in the womb easy point access for Satan to gain control of the baby's soul before the baby even touched the earth. Because those spirits, that spirit of misery and that spirit of despise that Jacob more than likely had towards Leah for her to be even miserable in the first place. Yeah, that's some nasty spirit combinations. See, when we have intercourse, it's deeper than just exchanging of bodily fluids or whatever, or even STDs. Like, yo, spiritually transmitted disease. Can we talk about that? Because that's a real thing. Oh, okay. I'll save that for another one. But anyway, right? So, the point that I'm making with that was the spirits that were used when conceiving Reuben caused him to be a sour fruit that was produced among society. Because he was basically like a little hoodlum, kind of like. Actually, all 10 of Joseph's brothers was like little dust bunny hoodlums. And I'll let you know what I mean when I pull the scriptures up to drive that point through. But anyway, right? So now we're on verse 33 for chapter 29. She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "Because the Lord heard I am not loved, he gave me this one too." She named him Simeon. Yo, so it's still the same spirits mingling, making these kids, mind you, right? Kayata. All right. So I don't know if I want to honor time right now or honor driving this point, because I need somebody to really catch this, right? And what's going on and understand the behind the scenes part of this stuff. Okay. Now, at this point, Rachel's not having any kids, but he does have Rachel as his wife, who he is madly in love with because that's the one he wanted from the jump. Okay. So, because Rachel was not able to have children, she gave him her servant to have a child for her. So he slept with her servant, and the servant got pregnant with a son, right? It's another kid born out of spite. Oh boy. But then she conceived another son once again, which is born out of spite. And then Rachel said, "I have a great struggle with my sister, and I have won." See, spite. That's the only reason she made the maid sleep with Jacob, because spite. Her sister had a battle, mind you. They wrestling against spirits, not flesh and blood, but neither one of them knew that because they don't know what we know now. But you know, shoot, a lot of people don't know this now. But yeah, Hikayata. hmm I was gonna highlight that, but yeah. Okay, so I'm looking for the part when Rachel actually okay, here we go. So now we're into chapter 30. Well, yeah, we've been in chapter 30, right? Because that's when Rachel gave Jacob her maid to sleep with. So now we jot down further, and Eh. Okay, so right, Dina. Oh, Dina is Joseph's sister. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yo, that's wild. Oh, that's what. Yo, okay. Okay. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and enabled her to conceive. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. She named him Joseph and said, may the Lord add to me another son. And he did, which was his little brother. Okay. So now, right? Jacob, because his father Isaac had blessed him, he was blessed. The work of his hands was blessed, and the favor that was on him was connected to the favor of Leah's dad because he was working for him, and Leah's dad peeped that, which is really why he drug him out for 14 years, because he was really trying to milk that favor that was connected to Jacob's life. But like I said, karma though, because remember Jacob teamed up with his mom and let her swindle him out of swindling his brother out of his blessing. So, you know, but yeah, so Jacob at this point, he's like, yo, I just want to go because like I'm up here, you know, it's all this favor on my life. And at this point, Jacob is peeping that Rachel's dad is milking the favor from his life. That's really why he wanted to go for real. So they're in the process of trying to go. And in the process of them leaving, Rachel steals one of her dad's little idol things that he worshiped. Like one of them little statue things that people be worshiping now to this day, stuff like that. Yeah, it was one of those little things. She stole it. And from her stealing it, mm, but the fact that she stole that little idol thing, she wasn't moving right. First of all, like, why would you steal the thingy from your dad? What was the point of that? It was crazy. But yeah, uh, hmm. Oh boy. People love to switch up on you, man. But that's all good. That's all good. That's all good. Yeah, man. Jacob's daughter ended up getting raped. It's crazy because I know the story of Dina, but I didn't even use my obligata to piece together that Dina was Jacob's daughter. That's wow. But yeah, over in Genesis 32, that's when Jacob wrestled with God. Seriously, man. And his name was changed to Israel because he seriously was like struggling for that blessing. I do not blame him. Okay. So now, right? Remember, um, Jacob has these bunch of kids now from his two wives and two maids. Because Leah, she actually gave him her maid to have kids from him too. So, out of all of Jacob's kids. It goes like this. All right. The sons of Leah, which was the cross-eyed one, she had Reuben, the firstborn, then Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun, right? The sons of Rachel was Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Rachel's servant was Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Leah's servant, Gad and Asher. But see, they didn't mention Dinah. But Dinah, she is his daughter. She came from, who gave him Dinah? Give me a second, y'all. Yeah, we just read that. Okay, that was Leah's daughter. Okay, so that was Leah's daughter. Dinah was Leah's daughter. All right now. Okay, so Jacob, the dad. Now we're going to get into Joseph, right? I'm wondering if I should really give you guys the full context of how each of the siblings were made, because we went through how the first one was made, Reuben. Remember? It is because the Lord seen my misery. So you have misery mixed with spite. Some toxic spirits to be making kids with. hmm And then when she had Levi, she said, "Now at last my husband will come attached to me because I have borne him 3 sons." This is really sad that she had to go through all of this, and I really just have no respect for her dad for that, because in real life he could have let Leah be with somebody who would have really wanted her. You know what I'm saying? Versus trying to play Jacob, bucking him out of Rachel, the one he really wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's nasty work. And a lot of times, like, you'll see people married, and when they're like truly not happy, just know they probably wasn't even really supposed to be together. Like, so serious. And I just despise the fact that so many people will stick themselves with the wrong person and then try to make it seem like they gotta stick it out because they messed up and they don't want to be grown enough to admit they messed up. They fix your mistake. Yes, God hates divorce, but he also hates disobedience. And you putting yourself with somebody you wanted to be with, that's disobedience. When it's somebody he wants you to be with, that's different. But when it's somebody you want to be with, it doesn't work out well, as we can see. Because this lady was miserable because her dad forced her to be with this man who didn't even want her. Yo, that's why that's another reason why it's so important for people to know the history. Like, who's not to say somebody could have a set of parents right now with a situation like that. People threw them together. They ain't even want to be together. Now they up there mad, all kind of nasty spirits floating in the house. The kid feeling all kind of nasty spirits on them, and oof, that's how Lorraine the Bobbitt was born. and Jason and all of these serial killers. Y'all think that stuff is fake? Yo, stop playing with me. Them spirits. You get enough evil spirits in you. Yo, I just was watching a documentary earlier today on YouTube with the DC sniper guy, and they was interviewing his wife. I remember vaguely the term DC sniper, but I was young at that time. Yeah, that man he was a good person, but he was just so demonically possessed, and he didn't have nobody spiritually discerned enough around him to pray for him and keep him off of that track and get him on the right track. And I'm pretty sure. But see, because ironically, the wife was saying, he was this great guy up until he went to go fight for the country. And when he went to go fight for the country, he came back bugged out. And that's what happens with a lot of these veterans and stuff. Like a lot of these crazy homeless people you see on the street, a lot of them were veterans. They be doing stuff to them people over there. When they send them out to the war stuff and stuff, yo, they be messing them up real bad. That's why they come back with that PTSD and all of that weird stuff. They demonically charge them people up and make them so emotionally detached from reality, so detached from being a compassionate, real human being, to where that's a empty, open school playground for a bunch of demons to just kayata. And then now you get a whole person that's a serial killer sniping people. Yeah. Bomba clutch. Hi. So Joseph, right? Ah, now remember I told you guys Jacob was a dreamer. His son Joseph was blessed to be a dreamer as well. Now see Jacob, he actually okay. Because looking at Jacob's situation, he kind of fumbled the bag from the aspect of eh, oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to spin the block on this on my own personal time. But boom, right? Okay. So now we don't get too much backstory in the Bible about their growing up life. It just picks up here at Genesis 37 where it says Joseph's dream, right? And Rachel died right after she had Benjamin too, y'all, which was wow. Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan was actually cursed because of what Cain did to Abel. He killed his brother because he chose not to deal with his demons. So they overtook him and then he killed his brother. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flock with his brothers, the son of Belial and the sons of Ziphlah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about them. Remember, I told y'all they was hoodlums, right? I told y'all that. And no, Joseph was not a snitch. He was just telling his dad what was happening. Y'all gotta understand something. A business is still a business, yo. Like, that's people's money. That's people's livelihood. Like, I seriously am about to do a chit chat about that. Because y'all be getting me tight with that. Like, it be so many people in company vehicles driving recklessly, accumulating mad tickets. Let them start pulling them tickets out your paycheck. I guarantee you they're gonna start driving like they got some sense. Let them tickets start having to come up out your paycheck. Y'all gonna start knowing how to drive then. Now Israel, Jacob, loved Joseph. Yeah, y'all, because remember, Jacob name got changed to Israel after he wrestled with the angel all night for his blessing. So now his name is Israel. Keep up. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons. Y'all heard that, right? Okay. Which means he was showing him favoritism. Because he had been born to him in his old age, which is kind of cap. You know why you favored him, because that was Rachel's son. Like, come on. We know how you felt about Rachel. And so he made an ornate robe for him. Now, for modern day term, it's equivalent to like a Coogee sweater robe. Like how the Coogee sweater has all the colors, like a bunch of different colors when the Coogee sweater first came out. It's equivalent to that, right? His dad made him that. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word of him. Now, remember I told y'all the spirits that these kids was made in. They was already from the womb. They was already damaged goods. Because the spirits that was used in combination to make them was trash. Right? So that was a bad mix right there, which gave Satan easy in the womb access to them babies, which is how it was no problem for them to be young, hating their brother like that. But anyway, Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. Yeah. I'm just going to stop that right there because he actually tells them the dream, and I kind of want you guys to still read the story. So, after him telling them the dream, his brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? How will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. See, that's why we be needing to just shut up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? If God show you a dream or something like that, just hush. Just be quiet. Don't even tell nobody. If you want to know what he trying to tell you, ask him. Don't ask nobody. Don't ask nobody. Just ask him. So look, right, he had another dream and he told it to his brothers. And when he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" His brothers was jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Because remember, I told y'all his father was a dreamer too. So subconsciously, his dad, no, he kind of dropped the ball. So now I think he noticed with that, because he see that he dropped the ball, that God is, it's like, okay, since you couldn't do it here, now I got Joseph to do it. Because you played, you fumbled. So his brothers had gone to graze their father's flock near Shechem. I'm on verse 12 in chapter 37. And Israel said to Joseph, Jacob is Israel, "As you know, Your brothers are grazing the flocks near Shechem. Come, I'm going to send you to them. Very well, he replied. So he said to him, Go and see if all is well with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring word back to me. Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph arrived at Shechem, a man found him wandering around in the fields and asked him, What are you looking for? He replied, I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks? They have moved on from here, the man answered. I heard them say, Let's go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said to each other. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. When Reuben heard this, the little brother, right, he tried to rescue him from their hand. Let's not take his life, he said. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into the cistern here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornate robe he was wearing, and they took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty, there was no water in it. As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood, his brothers agreed. So when the Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites who took him to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the cistern and saw Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes. He went back to his brothers and was like, Yo, the boy isn't there. Where can I turn now? Then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in blood. They took the ornate robe back to their father and said, We found this. Examine it to see whether if it's your son's robe. Which they knew it was. You see what I'm saying about they shiesty hooligan ways? Right, because of the spirit that they were conceived in. This is what I'm saying to you guys. Yo, I'm begging, please check that video out because, my gosh, this stuff gotta stop. Whew. He recognized it and said, It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. No, he said, I will continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave. So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. At that time, Judah left his brothers and went down to stay with a man. Okay, I'm going to skip past that part, right? Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Because remember, y'all, meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. I am so thirsty, but this is so good. Okay. Now, Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, the Egyptian, who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. The Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and all of that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. So you'll have some people who will like literally try to piggyback off of you because of the favor that's on your life. But I promise you, when you are removed from their life, they will see the difference. It's better to treat people that are God's children when He blesses you to come across them and He puts one of His children in your life. It's best for you to do right by them. It's just best for you. The blessings of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. With Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, and after a while his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." What a disgraceful wife, because girl, you already with Potiphar. Why would you a trash boat? But anyway, he refused like a real one. Right, that's right, Joseph. With me in charge, he told her, my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns, he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in the house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? Not even Potiphar, cause she mistaken him for a peon. Like Joseph was serious about God. So, this wasn't even about Potiphar, because at this point I'm talking to the spirit operating through her. For anybody in my church, oh, she said hoe. That spirit that was operating through her was a hoe. Yeah, I said it. And if you took offense to it, that whole spirit in you taking offense. But yeah, so he told her he would not do such a wicked thing against God. And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her because he had respect for God. See, this is what it's about, ladies. You don't want somebody who respects you. No, 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 no. Fellas, you don't want somebody who respects you. No, no, no. If you're going to be with anybody, be with somebody who respects their relationship with God. Because at that point, it's not going to be about you. It's not going to be about what you have or what you don't have. It's going to be about the respect that your significant other has for God. That's a whole different type of loyalty. That's a whole different kind of self-control. That's a whole different kind of keeping yourself to yourself, respecting yourself. My God, if we could get more people like that floating around, do you know that side chick thing wouldn't even be a thing. Side dude thing wouldn't even be a thing. The world would be a better place. But anyway, one day he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants was inside. He should have ran back out, to be honest. I would have ran back out, no lie. Especially because you know this lady on your body like that. Like, don't even give that demon the opportunity. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had ran out the house, she called her household servant. "Look," she said to them, "the Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out the house." I wish she could have got struck down right there for lying on that man like that. She kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. Then she told him the story. The Hebrew slave you brought here tried to rape me when I'm a lying thought. Somebody slapped me. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Whoo. So check this out, y'all. When the master heard the story of his wife, he said to Joseph, this is how your slave treated me. Oh no, sorry. When his master heard the story his wife told him, saying, this is how your slave treated me, he burnt with anger. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. But while Joseph was there in prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. See, that's how God do. When we be faithful to God, he will be faithful right back to us. You better know it. You better know it. Hmm. So, sometime later, a cupbearer and a baker of the king offended their master, the king of Egypt, so he had them thrown into jail. While they was in jail, they both had a dream, right? Joseph ended up interpreting the dream for them. With the cupbearer and the baker, the cupbearer had a dream. Yeah, so the cupbearer's dream was equivalent to him being um restored to his possession. But the baker, he was yoinked off in 3 days. So the cupbearer, as Joseph told him he would be freed in 3 days and restored back to his position, he was. And 4 years ended up going, well, before he left the jail, Joseph said, yo, don't forget to tell the king about me, yo. Like, somebody get me out of here. Like, yes, the Lord is with me, but yo, get me out of here. Respectfully. So, 4 years go by. Oh, excuse me, too. And Pharaoh had a dream. He had this dream about 3 times. And it bothered him. So he's asking mad people to interpret it, and nobody could. But then the cupbearer remembered Joseph. So then he called Joseph over to interpret the dream for him, and Joseph was able to interpret the dream for him through the Spirit of the Lord. And so, with the Spirit of the Lord and interpreting the dream for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt at that time, Joseph got put in charge of, yo, this stuff is so dope. Look, we on chapter 41 now. Joseph in charge of Egypt, right? So Pharaoh said to Joseph, I'm sorry, y'all, I pulled out a pancake. They're like so good. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command. So basically, he's now the king's right hand man. Now, if y'all remember over here, back in chapter 37, when Joseph had the dream and he was telling his brothers and his dad about it, and everybody wigged out on him. Right. This is the dream actually coming to fruition. So the dream that Joseph had was equivalent to this event that's taking place right now of the king making him his right hand man. So now Joseph is the right hand man to the king of the land of Egypt. Coincidentally, now a famine hits the land for 7 years. And Joseph's brothers get caught up in the famine. So guess what this means? You guessed it. They had to go to Joseph. Ironically, because several years has passed, and in their mind, once they saw him off the slavery, they just was like, yo, F him. They just kept on hooliganing and hooliganing with their shenanigans. And they had to come over to Egypt to get some food. And when they came, you know, Joseph pulled a little swift one on them because he wanted to keep one of their brothers. Well, he wanted to keep one of his brothers because he wanted them to come back. And yeah. hmm Right. And when Jacob sent them off to go get the grain from Egypt, he ain't send Benjamin. Because he was scared to death because he had already lost, in his mind, he had already lost Joseph to the animal. So for him, he's like, I cannot, because this is the last one that Rachel gave me. And ironically, as you could see, he didn't even care about the other ones because none of them could even comfort him. And he didn't even want to pull or keep himself together to take care of them after he heard he lost Joseph. Such a sad story. But yeah, so, oh man. Oh man. Yo, so check this out, right? I'm in chapter 42. Now Joseph was the governor of the land. My God, can somebody say cha-ching? Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. I had to put my pancake down because wait a minute. If we go back to chapter 37, I never told y'all the dream, did I? He said, listen to this dream I had. We were suddenly binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheave rose and stood upright while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. You can't tell me God don't talk to us in prophecy, in dream. Then he had another dream and he told it to his brothers. He said, this time the sun and moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me. But wait, because what happened in chapter 42? So Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain, for there was famine in the land of Canaan also. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all his people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. Where do you come from? He asked. From the land of Canaan, they replied, to buy food. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, They didn't recognize him. Then he remembered his dreams about them, and he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected." "No, my lord," they answered. "Your servants have come to buy food. We are all the sons of one man. Your servants are honest men, not spies." "No," he said to them. "You have come to see where our land is unprotected." But they replied, "Your servants was 12 brothers, the sons of one man, who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and the one is no more." Joseph said to them, "It is just as I told you. You are spies, and this is how you will be tested. As surely as your youngest brother comes here, send one of your number so that your words can be tested to see. Oh, I'm sorry. Send one of your numbers to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison so that the words may be tested to see if you're telling the truth. If you're not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies." And he put them all into custody for 3 days. And on the third day, Joseph said to them, "Do this, and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go and take grain back for your starving households. But you must bring back your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified, and that you may not die." Now they shook because, Benjamin, they know they can't bring Benjamin. They know they can't bring Benjamin because they know Jacob not trying to come off Benjamin, because in his mind he already lost Joseph. They don't know they talking to Joseph, but keep up. So he eventually convinced them to go, because he was not playing with them. So they scurvied, you know, and they brought Benjamin back. Jacob about to lose it. He said, he said, "You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. And now you want to take Benjamin? Everything is against me." Like, yo, he just felt like if it ain't one thing, it's another. But see that, we gotta watch what we say, for real, for real. Oh, they eventually convinced Jacob to let Benjamin go. And then Joseph pulls another stunt on them to make it seem like they stole when they didn't. But let's dance over to 45, chapter 45, when he make himself known. Because they came back. Remember, y'all, he told them they had to come back or they was going to die. So Joseph could no longer control himself before all his attendants, and he cried out, "Have everyone leave my presence." So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. He wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard about it. Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still living?" But his brothers was not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "Come close to me." When they had done so, he said, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now, do not be distressed. Do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives. that God sent me ahead of you. For 2 years now, there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years, there will be no plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve you for a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So then, it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household, and ruler of all Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and say to him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me. Don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen and be near me. You, your children, your grandchildren, your flocks, your herds, and all you have. I will provide for you there because 5 years of famine are still to come. Otherwise, you and your household and all who belong to you will become destitute. Ooh. And then it's a big reunion with everybody and whatnot. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. As we can see, that was a touchy point for me. So I'm gonna get ready to get up out of here. And I have some waffles stuffed between my cheeks right now that I just finish eating and blow my nose. But we love you guys so much. And we definitely hope you guys enjoyed the story. I'm pretty sure you ain't never heard the story of Joseph told like this before. You never will. We love you guys so much. And if you have not already, please give your heart to Christ, okay? Better sooner than later. Repent, give thanks, ask for forgiveness, ask him what he wants you to do, and ask him to search your heart. Yo, Psalms 140. I meant to drop this in the Proverbs of the day. I'm going to drop it in the morning. Psalms 140. Oh, it's 30, yeah, 139. I'm sorry. Y'all, every day. The last two verses from Psalms 139. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Amen. You say that to him right there. You sick. You ain't even got into me. Cause yo, that's a sweeper right there. But I gotta blow my nose, y'all. So y'all behave later. Baby.